Thanks for the warm introduction, Dean. And thanks all of you for being here so early and on the second day of the conference. As Dean mentioned, I'm going to be talking about what to do when things go wrong. A little bit about myself, for those of you who don't know me. My name is Michael Perklin. I'm the head of security and investigative services at Ledger Labs. Ledger Labs is a blockchain consulting firm based out of Canada. On the nonprofit side, I'm also the president of C4, the Cryptocurrency Certification Consortium, where I serve as the chair of the CCSS steering committee. That'll make sense a little bit later in my presentation. Outside of the blockchain space, I have a variety of certifications in the digital forensic field or information security field, such as the CISSP, CISA, ENCE, and ACE. A little bit about C4. We call it C4 because Cryptocurrency Certification Consortium is quite a mouthful. But we're a nonprofit organization that sets standards, measurements, and certifications in the field. We're most well known for our personnel standards for human resources. The Certified Bitcoin Professional certification lets people know that you understand how to use Bitcoin properly. Certified Bitcoin Expert is more for the developers and the engineers. And the Certified Ethereum Developer certification is for Ethereum developers. But I'm not here to talk to you about the personnel certifications. I'm here to talk to you about a certification for an information system, which is the Cryptocurrency Security Standard. Now, every industry has one standard or another. For example, if your company is going to be storing credit card information on your servers, you need to abide by the PCI standard, the Payment Card Industry Standard. That tells you how to encrypt all the credit card numbers that are on your server. Similarly, if you're going to be storing healthcare information, patient information, you need to abide by HIPAA in the United States. Every industry has a way of securing the information for that industry. And when it comes to cryptocurrencies, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or even Dogecoin, the CCSS is the standard for securing your cryptocurrencies. Now, it provides clear guidance for how to store it. It also provides clear measurement for seeing if your system is secure enough or if it's securing the coins adequately. And of course, if we all follow a standard and we're all securing our coins adequately, it makes it a much safer ecosystem for all of us. Most importantly, the standard is free and open for anyone to read online and to use on your own without any fees. Now, what the CCSS is not, it is not a replacement for any of the other standards that I mentioned earlier. It's not a replacement for the PCI standard if you are going to be storing credit card information. It's not a replacement for HIPAA if you're going to be storing patient information. And just traditional cybersecurity in general, you still need to keep all that in mind when you're securing your servers. CCSS focuses solely on the cryptocurrency private keys that are used to sign your transactions on a blockchain. It works alongside other standards in the field. Now, a lot of companies are using the CCSS standard either in advance of any kind of an incident, which is the best way to use it. But some of the companies on the slide you'll probably recognize that have undergone hacks recently. They're now using it retroactively to ensure that they don't get hacked again. The standard is maintained by a steering committee of really bright individuals from BitGo, from Deloitte, from PwC, from GEM, and from Cyphex. All these people work together to ensure that the CCSS standard is always up to date and always has the best guidance for securing your cryptocurrency private keys. Now, when people think about security, they think about the really cool Trezors or the YubiKeys or AES encryption with 256 bits or all these these crazy technology things. And while all that is important, that's not the only thing that you need to worry about. The policies, the procedures, and the trained personnel are equally as important for your security. All these together make up what is called an information system. An information system is a collection of your hardware, your software, your policies, your procedures, and your trained personnel. And all five of these work together like a chain to secure your system. Now, like any chain, if there's one of these links that is not as strong as the other, then your chain is weak. Just like that twist tie holding some of those metal links. Now, the CCSS, we'll jump into to take a closer look at it. It covers 10 aspects. Each of these aspects govern one piece of how your cryptocurrencies are used in your organization. We're not going to dive too deep, but to give an example, well, one of the very first controls that are prescribed in the CCSS is that every actor who will be using a key creates their own key. The reason for this is, let's say I create a key for everybody in my organization, and I issue one key to Alice, one key to Bob, and one key to Charlie. Alice, Bob, and Charlie have no way of knowing that I didn't keep a copy of the key. Later on, I can use my copy of their key to transfer their funds away from them, and it'll look like they did it. So one of the very first prescriptions is that every actor in the system always creates their own key, and any system where the key is given from one actor to another is immediately uncertified. The way that each of these levels are graded is the way that each of these aspects are graded is through 3 levels: level 1, level 2, and level 3. You can think of these as like being secure, very secure, and extremely secure. And each level builds upon the last one. For example, in order to reach level 1, you need to make sure that your system has at least 20 of these controls in place. Now, in order to reach level 2, you have to do everything that you had to do with level 1, all 20 of those controls. But in addition, you need to implement an additional 10 controls. And in order to get to level 3, you have to do everything that level 1 and level 2 already covers, as well as additional things in order to reach level 3. So it's an increasing scale as you go up. To take a look at it visually, this is an example of what a mock-up of an audit would look like for Acme Exchange Company. Now, of course, Acme Exchange doesn't exist, but if we take a look at all these 10 of these aspects, when it comes to the key and seed generation, there are 5 controls in this section. And the way that Acme is doing it is compliant with level 1. They're not doing it to level 2 or level 3 standards. However, when you look at their wallet creation, the second line in the table, you can see that they're doing this all the way to level 3. Now, as you work down, some of the aspects are level 3, some of the aspects are level 1 or level 2. The one thing that isn't common across all of them is that they reach level 1 across everything. So, like a chain, they're considered a level 1 system, even though they go above and beyond in some of the aspects. Now, earlier this year, I investigated the Shapeshift hack. There was about $300,000 US worth of cryptocurrencies that were all stolen, and ultimately, it ended up being an inside job. One of their employees abused their access. And the reason why he was able to do this is, I realize you can't read the screen, but you don't need to read. But if you take a look just at the colors in the first column, it's green all the way down, although there are 6 red X's. These were the ways that the hacker was able to infiltrate their system and to take the cryptocurrencies away. Had Shapeshift been covering all of these bases, they would not have suffered the losses that they did back in April. Here's an example of an unnamed cryptocurrency exchange. They haven't authorized me to share the details of their audit, but you can see, as you look down the first column, it's green all the way across the board. More recently, there's the Bitfinex hack. But before we get to that, a little bit about BitPay. Now, early in the year, it was announced that BitPay had lost about $2 million worth of Bitcoin. And the way that this happened was an employee's email account was hacked. Once the attacker breached an email account of one of the employees, he was able to send an email to the CEO and say, hey, can you send this guy a bunch of money? Here's his address. He needs the money for legitimate reasons. And it sounded like a legitimate request, a routine request that was always seen. However, the address that was provided didn't belong to that gentleman. The address belonged to the attacker. So the CEO willfully gave away about $2 million worth of Bitcoin before they realized it. Now, under the cryptocurrency security standard, they would not have been compliant because the CEO, when receiving a request to send funds, he didn't verify the details of that request over an authenticated communication channel. Specifically in CCSS, this is point number 1.4.6. These types of controls exist all the way throughout the standard to ensure that everyone can keep all the coins as secure as possible. Bitfinex happened a lot more recently, and unfortunately, because the investigation is still ongoing, I can't share the details, but I can share some common observations that I've noticed after analyzing breaches, not just this year, but over the last 4 years. And every single system that has been breached failed to reach level 1 of the security standard. Another commonality is every system that so far hasn't been breached, if you were to assess them, they would be level 1 compliant. So these observations are very consistent across the board, and it allows me to make, I guess, a declaration, or I'll share an opinion with you. It's my opinion that any system that is graded level 2 or higher cannot be hacked. And I realize that's quite the claim, saying that nothing can be hacked if it's level 2. But I'm going to state it again. It's my opinion that any cryptocurrency system that is level 2 or higher cannot be hacked. And I encourage any of you in the audience who is able to prove me wrong to please do so. The standard is available online for everyone to read. It's free and open, so you can use it for your own systems, or you can use it just for academic research to get a better understanding of how to secure cryptocurrencies. The source is open on GitHub, so if you see any areas where you can help and you can improve it, please submit an issue or even submit a pull request. If you're not a technical person, I encourage you to have your Chief Information Security Officer or your Chief Technology Officer to review the standard and see how your system stacks up against the standard. And if they have any suggestions or comments, I encourage you to share with them the website so they can provide feedback. Now, as I mentioned, C4 is a nonprofit organization, and we feel that we're doing very good work in this space that is sorely needed by everybody. Rather than waiting for the governments or for any other regulatory body to impose regulation upon us, we are taking it upon ourselves to work with industry leaders to build these standards so that hopefully these hacks become less frequent and stop making cryptocurrencies have such a bad name. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. If any of you have any questions about the CCSS, you can come find me outside during one of the breaks. And thanks again to everyone for hearing me speak.